Hello, everybody. This is Mike Crow with My Inspector Community. Been going through a lot of stuff lately. Boy, I have to tell you, the market has been changing, and a lot of people want to complain and whine about the economy and all the other things. I will tell you that if you've got your marketing right, these are not bad times, okay? Our business is growing. We're doing more inspections. We are bringing in more mavens. And if you're going, what's a maven? A maven is a person that helps influence a group of people. And when they say, hey, I use this company, or I would recommend you use this company, then they do. All right. In the home inspection world, there are like 15 different mavens. Okay. So like real estate agents are the most important probably maven in that group, and then title companies, mortgage companies, real estate attorneys, insurance companies, moving companies, and the list just goes on and on and on, including, by the way, your past clients. So there's a lot of cool stuff out there, and one of the things that we try to tell people is, especially as when you go into winter time, turn up your marketing. Okay, now there's a second part of that, and it's going to sound a little weird because when the ducks are flying, well, that's when you go hunting, right? And I will tell you that the ducks are flying right now, okay? We are in April, so we are in quarter two of the year, and our first quarter, we just knocked it out of the ballpark. We were doing incredible, wonderful things. And then, you know, when I do go places, I hear people go, I hear two things. One is that I'm so busy, I can't handle any more business. Okay? Now, here's one of my most famous quotes ever. All right? There is no such thing as too much business. Okay? I know the 95%, beware the 95%. The 95% want to tell you, you can't have too much business. No, there's no such thing as too much business. We either hire more people, which is our normal mode, okay, and or we realize that there's such a high demand for whatever we have, we raise prices, right? Now, I know some people like to raise prices, like January 1st. Well, for the home inspectors out there, that is like the worst time to raise prices, because everybody's expecting it, everybody's looking for it, everybody wants to go, oh wow, he raised prices, and you get moved down on the list of being referred and everything. So you don't really want to raise prices in January. You don't want to raise prices in February. Come March or April, that's when you want to raise prices, okay? Now, I did accomplish one major thing on helping people raise prices, and I've never seen it before in any other industry. And I kind of learned this especially from Disney, right? But I've seen it applied now, over 20 years, I've seen it applied to probably 20 different businesses. And so, for instance, the airlines, right? The less seats they have, the more they sell the seat for. All right. So a lot of times people go, oh, the closer it gets to the date, that price goes down, right? Nope. They have rewired this thing completely. The closer it is to the date, the price goes up, not down. All right. And what you're hearing nowadays is one of the most craziest things ever. And I love it because technology has made this available to us. And that's called dynamic pricing. Okay. One of the things that we did, we wanted to raise prices on Saturday, and we were using a system that wouldn't allow us to be able to go in and go, hey, it's Saturday, charge more for this day. But we could go into the system and go, hey, we want to give a coupon or a discount to different things. So we created what we called the prime time discount, and that would apply to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, I'm going to tell you more about that here in just a second, because that helped us be able to create dynamic pricing in our home inspection business across the board. And we are using that currently right now. And when we need to, we will adjust it again. And I'll tell you more about that all in just a second. But the formula in the home inspection world for raising prices, and by the way, this applies to a lot of businesses. I'm going to tell you some businesses have it much easier because what they have is when they get people in, they keep people, and so their revenue stream is much more consistent than like home inspections. But there's a lot of companies out there, including real estate agents and roofing companies, for example, and that, you know, they have one big job and then they get paid and then they're looking for the next big job. So those people have to work through different dynamics than, say, a CPA, who once he hires or gets a client, that client stays with him generally for life, okay? Unless that CPA just does something really wrong, right? Or you get your hair cut somewhere, right? Well, you go back to that same barber over and over and over, or beautician, or whatever you want to call it. So that once they get a new client or someone that they're working with, well, then what that does is that that just grows and grows and grows. Now, this is why Maven-driven marketing that I created is so important. So when we get a real estate agent or somebody that refers us, hopefully they'll refer us over and over and over again. And so that works really well for us. And it's one of the things that I've helped teach people that have really helped taking their business to the whole next level. By the way, I teach a lot of the pieces of all of that on webinars, and my daughter, Krista, is now doing webinars because we have found out that there are so many people out there looking to do some of those pieces as well. What I want to do is give you some little pieces, but you can go out to homeinspectormarketingpodcast.com and you can hear me do some of the other ones of these, what I call Driving Inspector Success. So this is Driving Inspector Success number 54, okay? But out there at the podcast, I have over 160 plus episodes where I go through different pieces as well to try to help clue you in on exactly the volume knob or the switch to flip or turn to help improve your business. So one of the things I love is formulas, and home inspectors love formulas, so I use them all the time, right? So here's one formula: 3 times 90 times 2. So if you are booked out 3 days or more for up to 2 weeks, then your prices are too low, all right? Especially as a single man operation, right? You need to be able to set it up so that you can get to inspections quicker, faster. The people that win in business do what I call S&A, speed and accuracy. And if they call you, they don't want to schedule an inspection a week out. They don't want to schedule an inspection 5 days out. They don't want to schedule an inspection 3 days out. They want to schedule it tomorrow. And if you can't schedule it tomorrow, then a large percentage of people, especially in our world nowadays, are just going to call the next person, right? Now, if they call 10 companies or 5 companies or whatever, and none of them can do it, within 3 days, great. You're perfectly fine. However, one of the reasons our business has grown so significantly was the fact that we figured out we needed to have open availability as soon as possible. And so I will tell you that 99% of the time, and it's really more like 95% currently, we have same day availability. So if somebody gives us a call at 8 in the morning or even 10 o'clock, we can literally go out and do that inspection today, all right? Now, the average person can't do that. And so you have to kind of figure out how you're gonna work your way around that. Here's the second part of this formula. And then I'm gonna give you a new formula that I've been working on for like 10 years. And I actually kind of talked about it a lot, but I never really put it into a very straightforward formula on this. But the next part of this formula is the 90. So if you are scheduling 9 out of 10 inspections, every time somebody calls for like a 2-week period, your prices are too low. You need to expect to lose probably 10% of the calls. And if you don't have at least 1 out of 10 people going, wow, that's expensive, then you are underpriced. And so you need to fix that. You need to make sure that you are getting paid what you are worth. All right. So those are a couple of things. And by the way, I've had people say raise prices, $7 an inspection. Some of the coaches that I trained in the industry are still out there teaching raise your prices $3 or $8 or $7 per inspection every single time, because one of the tricks of pricing is to make sure that your prices are unusual, unrepetitive, unique. So they have to call you to get a price. You don't want to put your prices in your brochure. You don't want to put them on your website, though, you know, people could go through the whole process of scheduling an inspection to see what our price is, and that's okay. They do that when they call us. But going through that process, we tell them why we are the right choice for their home inspection. So there's a lot to that part as well. And I will tell you that our online scheduling, we schedule probably $100 to $200 more per inspection than we do on the telephone. I'm working on that. Okay. So here's the third part of this that I've been talking about for years. I used to tell people, if you are booked at 80% or more capacity, then you are losing business. And that is still true. And then it dawned on me in the last 6 months, last 3 or 4 months, that if we are doing at 80% capacity and we're losing business, and if we're losing business, that means we need to consider raising prices. So if you look at your schedule and you have 10 time slots open and you're booked 8 out of those 10 every single week, 1, congratulations. 2, you need to probably consider raising your prices so that see what happens. You don't have to raise them a lot. Raise them $10, raise them $15, raise them $20, raise them $3. I don't care. But here's the thing is, if within 2 weeks you're still booked at that level where you're, say, 85% or 90% capacity, you need to raise your prices again. Don't wait until you're at 100%, which is what most people do. And in my original formula, that's kind of what it implied. But I want you to understand, I think you're booked out 3 days or more if you're at 80+% capacity. Now, that's not really that complicated. However, somebody's going to try to make it sound like it. But here's the bottom line is, if you have 8 out of 10 of your inspection slots booked for 2 weeks in a row, then you're booked out. Okay, you're booked out. If you're booked out 3 days or more at 80% capacity, well, you're technically booked out. Okay, because it's going to be unusual for people to fit into that exact time slot that you have left. You might, and by the way, the really, really good guys, they do, but they're also booked out 7 days. Okay, and you know, the real shame of that is that they're making less money than they should be making. And so raise your prices, and then 2 weeks later, take a look at it. And if there's no change, raise your prices again. So when I start coaching people, one of the biggest things that I see is that they hear the formula, they understand it, and they raise their prices. And then 2 weeks later, they raise their prices again. And then 2 weeks later, they raise their prices again. And then 2 weeks later, they raise their prices again. Now, this usually goes on for like the first 2, sometimes even the first 3 years that they're working with us. So as they go into busy season, they end up raising their prices 2, 3, 4 times. And, you know, they end up making somewhere between, you know, by the end of the year, they're making somewhere in between, $50 to $100 more per inspection. Think about that for a second. If you did 200 inspections this year and you could make an extra $100 an inspection, what would that be worth to you? Now, just for the quick math here, I'm pretty sure that's $20,000. $20,000 because you were able to raise your prices over and over and over again. You know, one of the big things that I find is that people always love to tell you, especially marketing people, raise your prices. The truth is, they don't know whether you should raise your prices or not, which is why I created these formulas, right? And one of the things we discovered years ago, of course, was Saturdays were so requested that we would book Saturdays up, and then we'd be out of Saturday time. So I'd always heard charge more for Saturdays, and I was a little timid about that. And I finally got over it, and I said, okay, how do we charge more for Saturdays? And we went into our system, and the system we were using at that time would not allow us to be able to go in and go, oh, this is a Saturday inspection, it's more. It just wouldn't do that. So we created what we called the prime time discount. And what we tell people is, if we can do the inspection for you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, then we would give them a $35 discount off of the inspection. Now, I know some of you are going, man, I don't give discounts. Okay, then you don't really understand marketing, because people love discounts. You just have to price it so that when you give the discount, you're still making really good money. Here's the real fascination, secret, trick, amusement even with this whole primetime discount, right? So right now, because of our marketing, we are marketing really well, and we are being really well received in our marketplace. We are turning off the primetime discount, okay? So that means that when we got booked out 1, 2 days, 3 days ahead or whatever, and right now I think the most we've been booked out is like 2 days ahead, right? And so we started turning off the primetime discount. Guess what? It isn't affecting our kill ratio or how many inspections we schedule or anything. And because this is when the ducks are flying. This is the time to go hunting. And this gives us that ability to have pricing, that we can adjust as the market, as the season gives us that ability. I heard one time that, and I do not know if this is true, I bet it's possible, is that there were Coke machines at like Six Flags or other places, right? And the more the temperature went up, the more the price of the Cokes went up in the machine. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me, right? But if it gets to, in Texas, if it gets to 100 degrees, well, the Cokes go up 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever. Dynamic pricing fully in effect there, right? And I went, wow, that is like brilliant. That is like brilliant. Now, is that true? I don't know. I don't think anybody, unless they have insider information on that, really knows. But I will tell you, I think it's absolutely possible with technology and everything that we have in our world nowadays. So it could be a very simple thing for you to probably do something like that as well. So I will tell you, when the market slows down, I learned this from the car industry. When the market slows down, trying to be careful here, not run anybody over. When the market slows down, car dealerships do not lower car prices. They don't want to lower the prices. So they do things like rebates or sales or discounts for whatever reason they can come up with, right? So we created a prime time discount, and we use that like winter time and other times of the year, so we can put a dynamic pricing into effect inside of our company. And then the other side of that is that when we do that, when we get busy and we're booked out a couple of days, we just switch it off. We just switch it off. And now we're making $35 more per inspection. By the way, our inspectors are not upset when we turn that off, okay? They think that's pretty cool. But they also understand during wintertime, people are a little bit more price sensitive, and we are trying to capture as much as we can. I have about 6 other pricing secrets, and I don't have time to go into those, but go out to coachblueprint.com/Zoom, ZOOM, and you can find out when our next webinar is, and then come on in and let us teach you some of the other secrets that we have. We just finished up our show, and we're getting ready to have another home in, well, I say getting ready to, in February of next year, we will have my annual show again. But you can also go out to coachblueprint.com/bonus. And if you're hearing this, go out to coachblueprint.com/bonus, and you will see a lot of what I'm offering current new people into the marketplace. And one of the things that I'm offering as a bonus with that is for you to come sit in the room with other highly successful people that I'm coaching and just kind of hear what we're saying, what we're learning. And I will tell you, it'll be a priceless couple of days for you to be able to sit in a room with other inspection companies that we're coaching and teaching a lot of these secrets too. And I'm gonna hit one last thing here. I tell people that profit is essential, right? And sometimes people want to make you feel guilty about profit, but I say the more money we make, the more people we can help. The more money we make, the more people we can help. So, be successful and be around those that are successful, because the more money you make, the more people you can help. So go out to those websites, coachblueprint.com/bonus, and check out what we offer there. And then go out to coachblueprint.com/Zoom and see what our next webinar is. I think my daughter's actually doing the next one, and she is as good, if not better than me, at sharing the information and helping you learn just one or two tricks that'll help you make more money, even if you don't sign up with us. Hope you have a great day. I'll talk with everybody again soon. Bye-bye.